Hello and welcome to your Urban Connection. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember in the last video that I did, I told you about the fallout that occurred with Dr. Phil McGraw after he made an appearance at the Madison Square Garden rally for Donald Trump on October the 28th. You see, since that appearance, Dr. Phil has lost over half of his viewership. Okay. Now, I'm here today to tell you that there's trouble in paradise because another popular TV host is having problems after having a meeting after the election with Donald Trump. And let me just explain to you, this comes at a troubling time for a couple of cable news networks. Now, one of them is MSNBC, okay? And the other one is CNN. But we're going to focus tonight on the one MSNBC because there's trouble in paradise brewing as we speak. You see, in the beginning, Comcast, the owner of MSNBC, has made an announcement that they're going to spin off in MSNBC, E, and a couple of other networks that they own to separate them from NBC. Now, the word is going around the MSNBC channel that they don't know exactly what's going to happen, and they don't know who's going to be left when this is all over with. But here's the problem. Well, first of all, let me tell you two problems they have. Number one, the queen bee at MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, okay, Rachel has just signed a new contract. Now, Rachel had a contract that would pay her $30 million a year. She signed a 5-year contract, okay? But now, in order to stay there with MSNBC, you see, Rachel has had to sign a new contract that would call for her to take $5 million a year less. So in other words, her salary would go from 30 million to 25 million. Okay. And so she's doing that. You know, she would do anything to make the channel happy and stay there. I mean, look, let's face it, folks, $25 million a year is a lot of money. Okay. I mean, even for Rachel Maddow or anybody, 25 million. But that's taking the pay cut down from 20 million. Okay. Now, when she signed that contract, as you know, Rachel was on 5 nights a week in the beginning. But in 2022, when she signed this new contract, she agreed that she would only be on air 1 night a week, and that was on Monday nights. Now, she would also be available for other special occasions, such as election night and some election campaign nights. She'd be there with a panel. But in other words, that was 2022 when she signed a $30 million contract, and now her contract has been reduced to 25 million, which is, I mean, hey, that's not peanuts, buddy. Okay, so that's one issue. But the bigger issue right now is by another couple, and I'll tell you who that is. And this is a husband and wife team, okay, that I want to show you here. And that is Mika and Joe Scorborugh, okay? Now, Joe and Mika went and met and had a private meeting with Donald Trump, all right? But their meeting was a little different because let them tell it. Now, I don't know how factual this is, but I'll tell you this. The mere fact that they had a meeting with Donald Trump upset an awful lot of their viewers. And it also upset some of their co-workers. But because we don't know what all occurred, but if we want to listen to them tell it, uh, here's what that they had to say about the meeting. They said they went because Donald Trump has said when he's in office he's going to go after all of his enemies, and he's going to go after a few TV networks and some personalities, and all of his enemies. And Joe and Mika were the targets at one time about something that having to do with the death of an intern. So here's what Joe said. Morning Joe and Mika, co-hosts, announced Monday in dramatic fashion that they went to Mar-a-Lago last week for a fence mending meeting with President-elect Donald Trump. Then the pair spent the rest of the day dealing with the uncomfortable blowback from that meeting. All right. In private conversations, Scarborough argued that having FaceTime with a world leader is a no-brainer. Some of his MSNBC colleagues agreed, but there was more to the Mar-a-Lago meeting than just a meeting with a world leader. According to the two sources with direct knowledge of the matter, Scorborugh and Brzezinski were credibly concerned that they could face governmental and legal harassment from the incoming Trump administration. Knowing that Trump has threatened retribution against his perceived political opponents, and that Trump has promoted lies about Scarborough and Brzezinski in the past, the MSNBC host decided to reach out to the president-elect, the sources told CNN. Now, the two sources generally agreed with Scarborough and Brzezinski's impression of the situation at hand, namely that the incoming Trump administration could use its wide-ranging powers to punish people deemed enemies. Trump ally Elon Musk wrote on X overnight in a post supporting Gaetz for Attorney General that America needs Gaetz to put powerful bad actors in prison. Now, that's the reason that they say they went there. But a lot of their listeners are not satisfied with that. I mean, after months and maybe years now, hearing them berate Trump and basically tell the truth about who Trump really is as they know him has been their daily MO. So can you imagine that this appears to some viewers that them going and getting in the bed with the devil? Okay? I mean, this is just like J.D. Vance calling Trump almost an American Hitler. Okay? And then end up as his vice president. All right? It's the same as having Marco Rubio talk about Donald Trump in his first run for president. Talked about him badly. So did Lindsey Graham and many others, only to find themselves working with and in his cabinet, or certainly licking his boots, okay? And they are afraid that this is what is happening with Joe and Mika, okay? So he's lost viewership and his ratings have been plummeting since that announcement that they made that they had went and had a private meeting with Donald Trump after the election. Some of the people, his co-workers, are calling him a coward. They're saying he betrayed them. That's what a lot of viewers feel. Okay? So this is trouble in paradise. We don't know how it's going to shake out. But the big thing is that other people that are there, and let me just give an example. Other people that feel like their situation is in dire straits because of what's going on, they feel like that they too are unsure of where they will end up once this shakeout. And let me tell you who we're talking about. We're talking about people like Lawrence O'Donnell, okay? Lawrence O'Donnell. Lawrence O'Donnell here. Lawrence O'Donnell is one, okay? Lawrence O'Donnell doesn't know where he's going to be. He's concerned about what his future will hold, okay? Once this shakeup begins, once Comcast begins to spin off MSNBC and I think CNBC, which is their stock market business report, These folks don't know what's going to happen when the dust settles. Will there be layoffs? I'm sure there will. Will they be involved? We don't know. Now, not only is Lawrence O'Donnell included in that, but let me go and show you another person. I mean, this thing is really getting sticky and getting hairy, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it really is. And so you've got major people over there. And let me just show you. Joy Reid is another one. Joy doesn't know where she fits into this picture. Okay? And like I said, nobody does. It's everybody's walking on pins and needles right now until they know more about what's happening. Okay? So like I said, this right now has everybody shaking in their boots. I'm talking about the anchors in particular over at MSNBC. And that also includes not only these people here, but that also includes another popular figure over there at MSNBC. And she's a daily. And let me find her. Okay, I can't find Nicole Wallace. I did have Nicole here, but I don't have Nicole. But anyhow, the main focus, I've lost the photo for Nicole Wallace. But anyhow, the main focus is on Mika and Joe. All right, these are the people that are in trouble. So we don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't look good. But see, this is what happens. When you've got yourself aligned with anti-Trumpers, okay, and people who basically hate Trump, all right, and then you're professed to be one of them for years. Because Joe used to be, and I don't know if he still considers himself a Republican, but Joe used to be a Republican congressman. But I know he's an anti-Trumper. Now, whether he's anti-Republican, I don't know. But he's been ever since 2014, he's been an anti-Trumper. They've had mad words for each other. He's criticized Trump day in and day out. He's told the truth on Trump. He and Lawrence O'Donnell, I have to admit, were one of the first ones that were willing to really call Trump a liar. Okay? But now, after this second election for Trump, he's went to Trump in Mar-a-Lago for a private meeting. Now, I have to agree. Upon first hearing that doesn't sound good. That doesn't look good. I mean, it looks like Joe and Mika are, as I said, getting into bed with the very devil that they've been criticizing for all of this time. Now, does their this excuse that they give, or reason, or whatever you want to call it, that they are trying to head off any retribution that might take place by a Trump attorney general? We don't know, but we have to accept it. That's what they said. We don't know what all was discussed, but I do know this. When they first announced that they had this meeting, they didn't mention anything about this retribution. They said it's time for something different. Now, what does that mean? I don't know what it means. Okay. But that's what they said at that time. There was no mention of this, what I just read to you about the retribution, even though I can understand, because Trump, and thank goodness, let me say this, I think Joe and all the other so-called opponents can thank their lucky stars that Gates was run out of town. There's no fear, no worry, no concern of him being the attorney general, because he would have done every single thing that Trump told him to do, no matter who it affected, whose toes he had to step on, what damage he had to do, who he had to send to prison, whatever, didn't make any difference to Gates. But Gates is out, okay? Because Gates was a criminal himself. Okay, we can't say he was a convicted criminal, but look, Gates did not step down from his congressional seat, ladies and gentlemen, because of any other reason than the fact that there were issues that he didn't want to come out and be made public. That's what it was. And that's the same reason that he pulled his name out of contention for Attorney General, because the Ethics Commission, he felt, was about to make these concerns and make this case public. And there was some damning information there. Okay? He went to bed we had eyewitnesses, that he went to bed with a 17-year-old girl. Now, whether or not he knew the girl was 17 or not doesn't make any difference, ladies and gentlemen. You know what the law says? Ignorance, okay, of the law is no excuse. Whether or not he knew that girl was 17, look, it is not her responsibility to convince him. It's his responsibility to question her and make sure that she is of age, of legal age, and able to consent to having sex with him. And not only having sex, but also doing drugs with him. The very idea of a congressman, okay, a law and order Republican congressman, getting in bed with a teenager, that is considered statutory rape in any state in the United States, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So this guy knows better. They all know better. But they think because they're members of Congress that they can do whatever the hell they want to do with anybody they want to do, whether they like it or not. So this is why Gates is completely out of the picture. It's because of what he has done in the past. Okay? And he was never cleared by anybody. They stopped the investigation. But all of the evidence, the eyewitness account, there's another gentleman that was involved with him that is in prison for 11 years, serving an 11-year sentence. And yet Gates, because he happens to be a member of Congress and he happens to have enough money to pay off people, okay, hey, the investigation was stopped. Now, had that been me, had that been any of you, we'd be in jail right now. Okay? So, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I wanted to share with you. And like I said, there's trouble brewing in paradise in the MSNBC as well as CNN. Both of them are dropping in the ratings since the election. And most of that drop at MSNBC is due to Mika and Joe Scorborugh, okay? Because of the fact they went and had a private meeting, okay? And if you would have told me prior to this election that was going to happen, I might have cussed you out, okay? But I certainly would not have believed it. But it did happen. And just like Dr. Phil, who now regrets that he went and made that speech / endorsement with Donald Trump at Madison Square Garden, he deeply, deeply regrets it now because it's cost him dearly in the loss of viewers. And I'm sure if Joe Scarborough had to do all over again, he might have a meeting, but he wouldn't be coming back talking about it. Okay? But it would have come out. Somebody knew about it. All right? So that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. So I feel not only for MSNBC, but I feel for all of the other anchors on the show who are still anti-Trump, such as Nicole Wallace, Joy Reid, Lawrence O'Donnell, Reverend Al, okay, and I can't think of the others, but I feel for them. I hope none of them lose their jobs. I really do, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, that's my show. I'll see you next time. Okay? Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And listen, stay tuned because we have some other nice shows lined up, and I think you're going to enjoy them. All right? Have a good evening. We'll see you next time.